Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm coming to y'all with another knife review, and this one is on something interesting. I scoured the internet trying to find genuine full-length reviews on this knife, and I found one kind of short demo video where it was briefly compared to the knife that it was, copying, but nothing concrete, no full-blown reviews, at least in video form. And I thought that was so odd because I've been carrying and using this knife ever since I got it, and I've been purposely going out of my way to test it ever since I got it, and I've been extremely impressed by this knife. This is the TAC NWO. Maybe it'll show up on screen. It's definitely a little smudge. There you go, TAC NWO. Josar TAC 26, they call it. And you can probably tell by looking at it. This design is copied from the Spyderco Native 5 G10. If copied knife designs bother you, this may not be the video for you to watch, because I am going to give this a glowing review. Okay, this is not a counterfeit, this is not claiming to be a Spyderco. This is what it is. It is a TAC NWO offshoot of the Spyderco Native 5. We've all owned tons of copy designs, whether or not we realize it. If you own pretty much anything Sandra & Mu makes, many of the knives that Enlin makes, damn near everything Gonzo makes, and even some knives that Gerber makes, you have some copy designs. Okay? This is not a counterfeit, and therefore it's okay in my book. As a musician, if I said I wasn't going to buy any electric guitar that looked like a Stratocaster, I would drastically reduce my options in the electric guitar market. Same thing if I said no copies of Telecasters, no copies of Les Pauls, no copies of SGs. And in the acoustic world, if I said I'm not going to buy a copy of a Martin, well, there goes about 25% to 30% of the entire acoustic guitar market. The same thing, in my opinion, could be said for knives. Obviously, there's a lot of knives that are not copy designs, but I'm not going to exclude a knife simply because it did copy another's design. Knife companies copy each other all the time. I'm not going to lay that as a criticism against the blade. Before I start the review, I always try to show off the packaging if I have it, and this is the pitiful packaging the TAC NWO came in. Just a blank white box. I had to write TAC NWO on the side so I know which one it was. I taped it up so it wouldn't fall apart because this was already cut before I even got to it. Just a blank white box with a little sticker put on it with a barcode, probably so they can find it in the Amazon warehouse. Nice and short and sweet. Let's move on to the knife, and I'll say that I've been using this and I love this. This says CPM S30V. While I can't officially confirm that this is actually S30V, I am very, very inclined to believe them. I tested this right alongside a Spyderco Manix XL, as you can probably tell by the video thumbnail, which was using S30V, and this performed every bit as well as that S30V Spyderco. Now, should S35VN perform better than S30V realistically? I don't know. Bless me. Anyhow, should it perform better than S30V? Maybe. But it has performed at least as well as the S30V on Spyderco knives, which tells me that it's probably a genuine S35VN. Maybe a little softer on the heat treat than it should be, since it didn't have superior cutting performance. But I honestly don't know the levels of difference between the two steels. I just know that they're very closely related. I know that LuvThemKnives has one of these on order, and he's going to be having this. He's going to send the knife out to have the steel tested and see if it actually is S35VN. But my best guess is if it's not S35VN like they're saying it is something similar, or the best damn 440C I've ever used in my life. But my honest opinion, I do think that it is the S35VN that they're claiming it is. Wouldn't be the first time we saw a premium blade steel in a knife that cost only $40, which, by the way, yeah, between 35 and 45 bucks for this TAC NWO. We saw that from LA Police Gear. Okay, they have a pretty famous knife that uses the S35VN steel. It also tested softer on the heat treat in LuvThemKnives videos, but it was genuine. I believe this might be something along the same lines. Getting into the blade, we have a traditional Spyderco leaf-shaped style blade that is 2.9 inches long. Beautiful choke-up choil, just like the Native 5, again, which this is copying, and very functional jipping on both sides, gives us a very, very comfortable grip. What I can say about the knife's steel, it cuts like, what about the knife's blade? It slices beautifully, it performs great. It is Very rust resistant, no issues with rusting whatsoever, and I purposely left this thing smudged and covered in fluid and water and blood from food preparation with no rusting issues. So, very rust resistant, takes a very fine edge, came pretty sharp. I wouldn't say super razor sharp, but pretty sharp. In terms of ease of sharpening, well, that's one of the reasons why I believe this to be the S30V and they claim. It was not an easy knife to sharpen. It wasn't super hard to sharpen. I don't find S30V to be super hard to sharpen, but it wasn't easy to sharpen. It took more than I usually have to put into my knives that use, you know, AUS 8, HCR 13, and so on. The knife has an oval thumb hole, okay, kind of like some of the early Benchmade designs. If you guys saw the early Benchmade Reptilians, they actually used to have an oval thumb hole similar to this, rather than the round one. And it is slightly occluded whenever the knife is closed. That being said, it's still easy to get in here and deploy this knife, and it does deploy nice and fast, though it did not come fast and smooth out of the box. Okay, out of the box, this thing was gritty as all hell. And I tried blowing the pivot point out, I tried oiling it, that wasn't the issue. The finish on the metal, my best guess anyways, is the finish on the metal on the spine of the knife, you can kind of see it, is rough, and was probably unpolished and unfinished. So it took time for that to wear by, you know, opening and closing before it finally smoothed it out. There's also a possibility there were some metal shavings in there because, again, this is a Chinese-made knife. It may say Oregon, USA on it. I'll get to that in a moment. But this is a Chinese-made knife. And in terms of fit and finish, you will believe that it's a Chinese-made knife. It kind of reminds me of the Bird line, actually. In terms of overall fit and finish and quality, everything but the blade is very bird-like. Okay, so it's kind of like having a Spyderco quality blade and a bird quality fit and finish and overall design, or overall construction. So it does take a lot of time to work in, definitely to sit there and play with it, open and close it a bunch, and if you really want to get in there, just take the knife apart, sand that pivot point with some very fine sandpaper, maybe 1,000 grit sandpaper, or even finer if you like, and then I would hit it with some flits. And that would probably cause this to come out smoother than hell, even after being, you know, even when it's brand new. Minor modification, definitely an annoyance, but not a deal breaker to me, because of the steel we're getting for the price point. But now, comes out fast, locks up solid, there's no place I decide. If I really rock that, I can get some flex on that lock bar, okay? The lockback guys get pissed off every time I say that I can feel blade play in my lockbacks, and in every lockback I handle. Yep, come on, focus, there we go. They get pissed off whenever I say I can feel blade play because I mentioned that I can feel some flexing in there. Apparently, according to them, that's not true blade play. I'm just pulling back on the spine, which is putting pressure against the lock bar and is causing it to flex outward. Okay, how that is different from blade play, I don't know. But I see it in every single lockback I've ever owned. In all the Buck knives I've owned, in all the Cold Steel Triad locks I've ever owned, and the genuine Spyderco lockbacks like the Delicas and Enduras I've owned, they all had it. The TAC NWO, same thing. Not a deal breaker, not a big deal. I honestly don't think it affects strength at all, especially when we look at how thick that freaking lock bar is. That is a stout lock bar and a thick handle overall. Alright, I'll bring in a knife that pretty much everyone's familiar with. This is the Spyderco Persistence. Okay, so the smaller version of the Tenacious. And yeah, we have a thicker knife overall. So the handle is thicker on this than it is on the Native 5, but we also don't have that boy detent like we would on a genuine Native 5. So, some minor design changes along with the thumb hole being slightly different. It's a very close copy though. Ergonomically, it is a comfortable knife in hand. Extremely comfortable. Perhaps a bit squared off, a bit blocky, but overall still comfortable to hold, and I haven't noticed any hot spots in long-term use with it. Jimping on the blade is, like I mentioned before, excellent, but again, if we look at it, you can see somewhat rougher cut, which tells me that, it reminds me that this is still a Chinese knife. Very, very similar to the Bird line. Here's that Persistence again, by the way, just for way of comparison. Also a Chinese knife, but you can see that it has a cleaner cut on the jimping. This, a little bit unfinished inside those notches. Does it affect the overall performance? Nope. It is just an attention to detail that you wouldn't get out of an actual Spyderco. By the way, I'm not bashing this. I don't give a rat's ass that this is a Spyderco native copy. But I do feel the need to let you guys know that there are quality differences. This is not going to be as well made as your Spyderco Native 5. It will be as well made as your Bird Metal 2 in G10. And for a similar price point, by the way. Centering seems to be pretty good. Listing possibly just ever so slightly to the left, but damn near perfect. Can you do your little Spyderco flicks with your middle finger? No. Backspring is just too strong. Can you do a Spidey drop? Yep. You absolutely can. Handle is made out of G10, as I've been mentioning throughout the video, and it is pretty well textured. Okay, out of box, this thing was grippier than hell, and out of box, the G10 reminded me of actual Spyderco G10. However, as I've carried and used it, it has smoothed out to be more like the Persistence Tenacious line G10, the Bird line G10. You know, maybe a little grippier than the Persistence is, but not by much. Definitely comfortable in the hand, though. You can see our construction on the knife. Okay, so it is serviceable. You can take this apart, and the pocket clip is mountable to all 4 corners of the knife. And by the way, I don't have another Spyderco with the same kind of clip to compare it to. I should have done this when I was over at my buddy's house, and I should have taken his Mannix and compared it. But I'm fairly certain that that uses the exact same mounting position as the genuine Native 5 G10. So don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure you could use any of the deep carry clips you can normally buy for these for the Spyderco knives. It looks like it's the same overall design. That being said, the clip is strong. Okay, it's not too. It doesn't have too much of a outward bow. What I mean by that is too much of an outward lip, which is going to catch on your seat belt and your car door and so on and so forth and snag it. And it stays well in the pocket. Again, positionable to any 4 corners, making this a truly ambidextrous knife for not a lot of money. Pivot point. I can't really see what kind of washers are down there. My best guess would be probably copper washers. I believe the description actually said this used copper washers, not bronze. Not too big of a difference, but it is worth noting. Now, I mentioned that it says Oregon on the blade, Oregon, USA. This was not made in the USA. This is made in China. They advertise on their Amazon sale page that it's made in China, but the company is stationed out of Oregon in the USA, so it says Oregon, USA on the blade. That is a little deceptive to me. Okay, not a big fan of that. They really should have just said China on this. This, to me, feels like they're trying to claim to you this is made in the USA when it's not. Okay, so something to be aware of. While I'm showing you the pocket clip, by the way, I forgot to show you this, the stolen cutlery lever pocket. Here's how it carries. Okay, not super deep, not super high, just enough for me to grab onto. I like the way it's situated. If you don't, again, I'm pretty sure those aftermarket deep carry clips for the genuine Native 5 G10 would fit this just fine. And the Delica Endura clips for that matter. Weight on this is kind of chunky, 4.5 ounces whenever I weighed it, which is nearly 2 ounces heavier than an actual Native 5 G10. And the reason why is this has full steel liners. Okay, they are not skeletonized, they are not drilled out in any way. These are solid, thick stainless steel liners in there, which adds quite a bit of weight to the knife. And also, like I mentioned before, a thicker overall design, thicker back spring, thicker handle slabs. Could you put actual Native 5 G10 handle slabs on here, like the custom ones? I haven't tried. If you own both knives and you want to test it out, go for it, but I can't say that I know. I haven't tried it, I wouldn't buy the scales without knowing. You'd probably be better off sending this to someone for custom scales made specifically for it if you wanted to customize it in that way. But perhaps the Native 5 scales would fit. Don't quote me on that though, because I don't actually know. On the fit and finish, a few more things to show you. We're going to show you how this fits. You can see a very small gap here between the liner and the back spring, not a big deal. As we get down here though, we can see a very noticeable gap between them. And I have tightened down those screws. I've got it as tight as it can be constructed. That is a overall fit and finish issue. It doesn't affect performance whatsoever, but it does remind us, yes, this is a Chinese-made knife, and not one of the super nice Chinese-made knives either. Not bad. Again, it's well made enough for overall use, but it's not like a WE Knives, Chinese-made knife. It's more like a Bird knife or a Tenacious. Decent fit and finish, not outstanding fit and finish. I don't really know what else to say about the knife that I haven't already. Overall, I think it's a good purchase. There's only 8 left on Amazon at the time of this video, so if you want one, jump on there and buy it for 39 bucks. You can find them on eBay for a little more than that, about 44, 45. I do think it's worth the money. But if you're expecting the quality to be the same as Spyderco's, it's not going to be. If you're okay with getting a knife that's similar to the bird knives in quality, this is probably the way to go. By the way, this is not the first copy of the Spyderco native knives. Probably the best that I can think of was the Navy K628, which was a copy of the old Saber Ground design. And the quality on that will probably be close to the same as the quality on this. I tried to find one to purchase it for the review. I couldn't. Competitive options would be a lot of the knives I mentioned, the Bird Meadowlark 2 and G10, the Bird Harrier 2, maybe the Spyderco Persistence would be a good one to throw in there. They are similar in size. The Gonzo knives would be a great comparison at that price point, but none of them are going to give you the same overall cutting performance thanks to the steel that is used on this TAC NWO. Again, it's like the marriage of a Spyderco quality blade with bird quality fit and finish and overall construction. So yeah, that was my review of the TAC NWO Josar TAC 26. If you want one, go out and buy one. Definitely worth the money, but keep in mind it will take a little bit of love to get it where you like it. If you don't want to put any of that time into your knife, into working it in and breaking it in, you might want to look into the Bird line instead. The Bird Crow 2 in CTS BD1 might be a damn good competitor to this. And by the way, I would love to see Bird actually make a Native 5 type knife. Could you imagine an official Spyderco licensed Native 5 design? Perhaps give it the bird hole, obviously, make it in the CTS BD1, market price for around 55 bucks. I'd buy that. Don't know about you, but I would definitely buy it myself. As it sits, good enough alternative to me, and it makes me want to go out and buy the Spyderco Native 5 G10 even more. This actually makes me want to purchase the real deal. So, hope you guys have enjoyed the review. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and until next time, peace and take care.